If there's two things that YouTube loves, it's one, tier lists, and it's two, banned modern cards. Hey everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and today we are going to rank the banned modern cards of MTG. That's right, all the usual suspects are here, and which ones are oppressive and which ones should be unbanned. I'm going to be able to categorize those today. So I just want to go over my tier list, exactly how it's going to work. In the S tier, we have cards so stupid that they should have been banned like 3 years before they were printed. In fact, you could even say that this card should be banned just looking at the spoiler, but Wizards of the Coast should take a time machine, go back 3 years, talk to R&D, tell them, look, we're making this card in like 3 years, this is the design. Put it on the ban list now so that we don't have to deal with it later. And then it can be printed into, dead on arrival the moment you print it. That's basically what the S tier is for. Now, A and B are just like, the card deserves to be banned, but its power level is not as significant as those S tiers. Now we go to D. D is just, this card doesn't belong on the ban list. It should have been unbanned. It should be unbanned. It's an absolute joke to be on the ban list. That's where I put the D tier. And C is going to be somewhere in between, like, yeah, it could be banned, but it also could be unbanned, a little indifferent around the two. It could be unbanned, but it won't do anything good for the format. That's where I put C. Just a heads up, Birthing Pod not on this list. I consider it more of a green card than an artifact card, so we're going to be saving that ranking for when I do the green cards. Let's start this off with Arkham's Astrolabe. At the time Arkham's Astrolabe got banned, it was like, are we going to ban Arkham's Astrolabe or are we going to ban Uro? Uro, of course, was the much newer card, but very clearly Astrolabe was played in everything and it was fixing mana like, no tomorrow. But now that it's banned, like, did it really change very much? People are like, well, if Arkham's Astrolabe is banned, then the Uro decks, they won't be able to play 3 colors. Yeah, right. I mean, not only can they play 4 colors, but they still have no problems getting their Mystic Sanctuaries online, amongst other things. But still, you know what? One mana cantrip can be brought back from the graveyard with Emery. It was a great combo with Urza, not to mention it was already banned in Pauper. You look at what it's doing in Legacy, obviously it's oppressive, it's not letting Wasteland get free and control the format. The card's definitely a problem, and the main problem, the main big difference that it has done in Modern is people cannot freely play their Ice Fang Quaddles like their Flash Speed Baleful Strixes on turn 2. That was quite the pain. Turn 1, Arkham's Astrolabe off of a Snowland. Turn 2, you just play like a fetch land pass and like, okay, can I attack here? Can I attack? Like, how do I get underneath this control deck when they always have Death Touch available by turn 2 with the Ice Fang Quaddle? But anyway, with the axing of Arkham's Astrolabe, we do see that Ice Fang Quaddle now has a real deck building cost, and there is the decks have almost disappeared. They never found a good replacement for Arkham's Astrolabe. So definitely not the most oppressive because it is not the biggest game changer when it got banned. However, still, I think worthy of this banned list. I'm definitely going to be putting it on as a B on this banned list. Moving on, let's talk about some fast mana. Not super fast, but fast enough. Chrome Mox. Now, this card was banned since the beginning of the inception of Modern because of its fast mana and the potential it's going to have with the combo decks. But the joke of all of it is that Mox Opal was like hands down a way better card. At least with Chrome Mox, it's a 2-for-1. You at least have to 2-for-1 yourself with this card. And it restricts you to only basically one color, whereas something like Mox Opal, you could play any color with this. So, still, fast mana, really, really oppressive. You'd better believe that if you hate combo decks today, you're gonna hate them even more with them having access to Chrome Mox because it's like Simian's Spirit Guide, except you have that mana available the next turn, the turn after that, and the turn off after that. I actually am going to give Chrome Mox, I'm going to give it a B. I don't think it's super oppressive. I think it is just a level above Simian's Spirit Guide, even of today, but still a little too good. A little, it's like above Simian's Spirit Guide, but below Mox Opal, it's definitely worthy on the ban list. Next up, Krark Clan Ironworks. Now, this was a card maybe completely missed by the Modern community for years. And yeah, it needed a few more pieces to come together over time. But when they came together, I mean, Matt Nass won back-to-back GPs, first place into first place. That's how ridiculously busted this card was. And its peak, people were winning with this deck like 95% of the time. Matt Nass had a phenomenal win rate, just obliterating people at the GP level. Multiple copies making the top 8s of these GPs, and also just filling up the Modern challenges. Clan Ironworks probably could have been in even bigger deck if it didn't look so weird. I mean, it was just a bunch of cards that you would not see in any other deck. The only card that shared in any other archetype was basically Mox Opal, and, you know, all these other pieces were completely useless. So it was very scary to buy into a deck that looked like it was going to get banned. Look at Matt Nass, he's unstoppable. Look, he won 2 GPs in a row. What are you going to do about it? So people were very afraid of adopting this card, but then when people finally did, once Wizards of the Coast let enough time go by to say, do you know what, maybe Clan Ironworks is going to be around, then people just piled on it, and then the top 8 started to pile up with the Clan Irons, but they banned it. And they banned it. If you bought that Clan Ironworks, complain to Wizards of the Coast, it was clearly a bannable card. It created these super unreal tier 0 archetypes. I mean, when you go back-to-back first place finishes at a GP, I mean, what else can you say about it? I'm absolutely speechless. That's why Clan Ironworks, obviously S tier. Definitely a super bannable card. I mean, if we could, let's ban this card again. Bring out the Modern ban list announcement. Just rub in there that we're banning Clan Ironworks all over again. Just to rub it in that this card should never have seen existence in the first place. This next card I am extra passionate about because for some reason, nobody could see the problem for something like 7 years, and that is Mox Opal. In Legacy, the following Moxes are banned: Mox Emerald, Mox Jet, Mox Sapphire, Mox Pearl, and Mox Ruby. Those only add 1 color. Mox Opal can add 1 mana of any color to their mana pool, and for some reason this was legal in Modern for forever. I mean, it was born in Modern, and I guess people just got used to it that they didn't see the problem. These artifact decks, why is it that Affinity had a 70% win rate in game 1? And people are like, oh, it's fine. You just have to put, I don't know, 7 or 8 sideboard cards in your, and you beat the artifact. Just bring on the artifact hate. It's as simple as that. Every single artifact deck that ever included Mox Opal was ridiculously OP and oppressive, with a 70% win rate game 1, with Affinity, and let's not forget about Hardened Scales Affinity, and Lantern Control, which tore up the metagame for a very long time. Then Whir Prison. Oh, Clan Ironworks, another card that got banned on this list. All the Urza decks, and even jank turn 2 decks like Cheerios. Mox Opal, the only thing it did was unfair nonsense stuff because it tried to get underneath you. It tried to get underneath every single opponent before you can even do anything. What do you think the Moxes are banned for and restricted in Vintage? What, for nothing? Just for fun? No, it's because it's a 0 mana artifact that just adds mana. You're basically playing a turn ahead of everybody else. So why did this card last for so long? It survived like 8+ years in the Modern format, and no one did anything about it. Not only that, people didn't even dispute it. It's like, there's nothing wrong with Mox Opal. What are you talking? There's nothing wrong with Mox Opal. There's everything wrong with Mox Opal. Imagine someone walks into a mall and then takes a dump in the water fountain. There's something wrong with that, right? But what if a crowd and community of people say, well, that person's been doing this for like the last 8 years. There's nothing wrong with it. What kind of sense does that? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So anyway, one day everyone realized, you know what? Taking a shit in the public fountain, that's not allowed. You know what? We don't do that. Normal people don't do that. So we're banning this damn thing. So and it was so oppressive. I think this was the most ridiculously OP card that was under the radar for multiple years. And I'm speechless. I'm surprised it even made it that long. That was nuts. So moving on, let's talk about Mycosynth Lattice. Now, Mycosynth Lattice, this is a complete nothing card. Like, nobody cares about Mycosynth Lattice. So this card absolutely did nothing until the printing of Karn the Great Creator, which is the real problem. The real problem in Modern. The card, you know, that can tutor for basically anything, that gives yourself effectively a 75 card deck, because you can just dig into your sideboard for basically any card. I mean, if you think there's something really wrong with Mycosynth Lattice, you really should be looking at Karn the Great Creator. But Karn the Great Creator, that's the new card. That's the flashy card. And you know what? Maybe there's a debate whether it should be in the format or not because there isn't really good artifact hate for the artifacts in Modern. So we might need a card that's going to be keeping the artifacts under control. So what Wizard says, let's ban Mycosynth Lattice because this is the card, at least pretty OP in the Eldrazi Tron deck. They have access to a lot of mana. They have Tron mana incredibly often. They play with Karn the Great Creator. Mycosynth Lattice basically says, okay, you can't do anything anymore. And you better be lucky that you can attack with your creatures against the Karn the Great Creator. Because if you don't, that's it. And it's one-sided. One side, you don't get to do anything. You don't tap your lands for mana. You cannot activate the abilities of your creatures. You're stuck. Whatever you got on the board, that's it. That's your board for the rest of the game. Good luck. And you know what? Wizard said, no, we can't have that card. So I'm putting this at a solid C. I think you could unban this card, especially with the clause that Karn should be the card that is banned if you really think that there is something oppressive going here. But by itself, Mycosynth Lattice is not a very powerful card. It's clearly the crappiest card in this tier list. I mean, it's just a garbage card in general. It's a 6 mana, do nothing for the most part. No one's ever tried to combo with this with Stony Silence or anything like that. So, pretty dubious card on the list. It is definitely dying for the sins of Karn the Great Creator. Moving on, we can talk about Sensei's Divining Top, a card that took a very long time to get banned in Legacy, mostly because it was very difficult to appreciate how well and how powerful it was at sculpting the deck of the Miracles players. But you better believe that it would also do the same thing in Modern. It would be an excellent card in the Miracles decks. A lot of the cards that you would see in a Legacy Miracles list is still shared in Modern. They've got like Entreat the Angels, they have Terminus, they have Jace the Mind Sculptor, they even have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and Teferi Time Raveler. They have access to basically all the cards. They don't have Swords to Plowshares, but Path to Exile does a pretty good impression. So make no mistake, this is a ban level quality card. However, it is not super oppressive. The games are not easy. You do have to leverage an enormous amount of skill to get the most value out of it. So I'm going to put this at a pretty solid B. Okay, let's talk Skull Clamp. Now, here's the hilarious thing with Skull Clamp. This card was an accident. I mean, they tried to give a little bit of a disadvantage to this card. They thought maybe this card's a little too good. Let's just weaken the toughness on the creature. But little did they know that it comboed so damn well with tokens. So they're like, oops, this was a design mistake. And then it ends up being like this insanely good draw engine in any deck that can generate tokens. I mean, imagine this card in something with Young Pyromancer, maybe Monastery Mentor. Like, you're gonna be drawing multiple cards a turn, and only for 1 mana. It's so cheap. Basically, pay 1 mana, pay another mana, draw 2 cards, pay another 1 mana, draw another 2 cards. I mean, the card advantage is actually ridiculous. I've never played with this card myself, but I've seen some playtesting videos with it. It's unreal amount of card draw, and it's basically just this artifact that sits on the battlefield and just draw cards like crazy. This was quite an unfortunate accident. Must most definitely deserves to be on the ban list. I'm going to put this at a solid A. Lastly, let's talk about a card that I think is grossly misevaluated. People are just, people are like, you can't unban Stoneforge Mystic. You can't unban Jace the Mind Sculptor. What are you talking? You can't unban Bitter Blossom and all this other nonsense. Like, people grossly misevaluate what cards should be put on the ban list or taken off the ban list. And I most definitely think Umezawa's Jitte is one of them. In today's modern metagame, this card will do nothing. It will absolutely do nothing in a format with so much removal and so much artifact hate. I mean, it's dead on arrival. Will it see play? Maybe. Like, this is a real maybe. There are a lot of swords that are more useful in the metagame than Umezawa's Jitte. People are like, Nikachu, have you ever seen this card in Legacy? Have you? And I'm like, yeah, I played it, I played with it, and I took it out of my deck. And as you see, it's not even a super popular card. It was really good once upon a time when there was a bunch of Delvers out, when there were Elves out, and also when there was like these Tarmogoyf mirrors where you attack with a Tarmogoyf. And if they want to block, then you only need to deal 1 more damage to kill it. And That's what the Jite did. It did the -1/-1 to that Tarmogoyf, killing it off, and then you'd completely win the mirror. The creatures in Modern are enormous. They're like Uros and Omnaths and Death Shadows and Eldrazi. And I mean, they're ridiculously huge. There are very few 1 toughness creatures because they need to be resistant to Lava Dart and Plague Engineer and Kozilek's Return and Walking Ballista. So you're not exactly going to be sniping anything off. It's really slow. You do need to deal some combat damage with it. So it's not that effective. And it doesn't scale very well. Not like Sword of Feast and Famine or Sword of Fire and Ice, which I think would be much more popular options. So for that, I mean, this thing can be easily unbanned. This isn't even debatable. I don't think this is a very powerful card in Modern right now, and it looks like a complete joke on the ban list, except that there's a number of people who very strongly believe that you can't unban this. I mean, I really don't know what you're holding back. If you really think that this card is going to be holding back creature decks, is being oppressive to creature decks, ban Plague Engineer. I mean, this is a card that's very legal, and it's not even hating against just tribal decks. I mean, it just basically says ETB, kill whatever creature type you want that has 1 toughness on, and all future creature types with 1 toughness that want to enter the battlefield. I mean, that's an amazing hoser amongst many other cards that are still very legal in Modern. Umazau's Jite is the least of your worries. You can interact with this effect in a million different ways. So anyway, people are super wrong about this. If they think that this card should still be banned, those are the same people that thought Stoneforge Mystic was too powerful and you had to ban Batterskull. Batterskull is it's a scary card. You see what it does in Legacy? Oh my god, the format is just going to get out of control if you unban Stoneforge Mystic. And then in the end, it's just a fair card. I mean, you just kill the Stoneforge Mystic and be done with your day. I mean, the scariest thing Stoneforge Mystic does today is find Colossus Hammer, in my opinion. That's basically the scariest thing that happens today. So that's my tier list. If you appreciate it, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Leave the comment section below. Would you rank these any differently? Let me know what you think. This has been Nikachu Merfolk Master ranking the banned artifacts in Modern.